Good morning, it's Alyssa Corman, Ed Carson reporting to you live from our newsroom in Los Angeles. It is Monday, November 12th, and on today's show, we're taking a look at Apple, Alibaba, and Nordstrom. Some interesting action there, so we are taking a look at the major indexes before we go into those three names. Right now, the Nasdaq is leading the losses, down about 1.6%. We have the S&P 500 and the Dow both down 0.8%. So what's going on here today, Ed, that's dragging down the tech-heavy index so much?
Well, Apple seems to have really let it off, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But techs in general are really selling. The Nasdaq, it's it's wiped out all of the Wednesday gain that was the follow-through day. That's not a good sign. We already had Friday selling. It was a distribution day on the NYSE and S&P 500. Today, the S&P is through its 200-day. The Dow is through its 50-day. It's not a good sign when there's distribution early on in a confirmed uptrend. And sometimes with a sharp pullback like we had, sometimes the first confirmed rally does not work. We're not at that stage yet. We're not even under pressure. It's just simply stating that this is not great action. Obviously, the markets have been volatile. This has just been an hour into the trading, so we could end up, surging higher. But this is something definitely to watch for. There's a green light, but there's obviously a lot of traffic out there.
Exactly. Not a great sign for the market rally, but as you mentioned, how we close today is very important. So make sure you are staying alert, looking at investors.com throughout the day and after the close to see how we finished out the day. Very important. All right, so speaking of Apple, let's take a look here. That stock down over 4%. It is now nearing its 200-day line on a report that a key supplier, Lumentum, is warning that one of its key customers has reduced its shipments. So perhaps this either signals weak iPhone demand or at least a loss in market share for Apple.
I mean, and maybe just that the pie isn't growing. There was also a JP Morgan warning, not a warning, just a slight trim of the price target. The market's obviously reacting like it is bad news for Apple. I mean, Lumentum is just getting killed, but that stock wasn't doing particularly well anyway.
Right.
But Apple, I mean, it's going to its 200-day, as you said. Even more, it's undercut the lows of the correction. It's just one stock that happens, but it's not good news here. Obviously, we have something we have to watch for, but when the leading component of the Dow, S&P, and Nasdaq is hitting new lows, obviously not a good sign for the rally.
That's right, and now round-tripping all of its gains from its last breakout as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, and now we want to take a look at Alibaba. This is a name that hasn't been doing too well in
no, it's not.
But it's in the spotlight as it's Singles Day, 11/11 every year, which could be likened to a Black Friday of sorts. Was its biggest ever, and it saw sales growth of 27%. However, that was a slowdown from the 36% growth that it saw last year, but by far biggest e-commerce sales day ever.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's bigger than Black Friday. It just makes Amazon Prime Day just look like nothing. I think it topped Amazon Prime Day in 20 minutes or something.
Wow.
I mean, it's an enormous shopping day, and a lot of other rivals take part in it. But it's another sign of the slowdown in online sales, growth. The Chinese economy is slowing. You can see how Alibaba's stock, it's down today. More importantly, it's been down sharply the last several months. And really, it's been outperforming, maybe compared to some of its other peers out there. It's really been a tough year for Chinese stocks, especially in the last several months. And we have a number of them coming up with earnings this week.
And which is interesting because it's had significant sales growth just quarter after quarter. Earnings have been a little light, but We'll have to see if perhaps some sort of turnaround in the Chinese economy, one big part of that. But this is definitely a stock that's in a downtrend.
And then the entire sector's in a downtrend. And this is it's a pretty big part of the market now. So
that's right. Well, elsewhere in retail here in the U.S., we're seeing a lot of retailers report earnings this week. And one that we want to highlight is Nordstrom. Those shares are trading just below a buy point. The stock up fractionally heading into its quarterly report in just a couple of days from now. But this is one retailer that has been looking relatively strong compared with other pockets in the market.
Yeah, a lot of retailers have been doing well, which is just, it's a sign that, maybe it's not going to be techs. I mean, there have been signs over the last few months, maybe techs aren't going to lead the new rally. I mean, they're always exciting. They always have the big moves. But, Nordstrom is doing well. It's just below a buy point, as you say. It actually was above it briefly last week. There's another number of others, a number of big retailers report this week: Walmart, Macy's, Kohl's, Canada Goose, which is that hot IPO. It's like a lot of really important retailers that have been performing well. So investors should take a look, even if it doesn't seem as exciting.
Right. Definitely a group to be paying attention to. And another thing, looking at the chart, that relative strength line has come off of the high. So if and when Nordstrom does try to retake that buy point, perhaps seeing a strengthening relative strength line would be something that's good. Would be good to see.
I got to imagine the RS line is having a bit of a bounce today. But yes, but you're right. You would like to see that go up because it did hit up and then pull back. But it's acting well. It's still generally on that sign so that's come down because it consolidated as the market surged. Because it seemed like there seemed to be, are we transitioning back into techs? And so that's always an issue too, is that some of these stocks, is that if we do have that big booming rally again, will the investors just rush into techs and sort of like, retailers, you were nice, but we're going to go to something else.
Right.
But you're right.
That's definitely the question. We'll have to keep an eye on sector rotation as this market action develops. And be sure to head to investors.com for all the latest market news and analysis throughout the day and after the close. And we hope you check in on our social media presence. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. So check us out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.